So I have returned once again today. Actually, no, I'm stream. Oh, Revolutionary Girl Utena. Well, do you believe actually are good to go? Hopefully, maybe. Who knows? They actually are good to go. So actually have a read to actually cover some more Revolutionary Girl Utena. We left off last time. Holy crap, the show's actually really good. It's actually, the actual show is very, very damn good. It's got a lot going on that it might just be kind of hinting at something more, but who knows at this point. But I do like it actually is kind of doing that because it has got a whole lot of like biblical undercurrents going through it, and also then the very kind of like societal like breaks as well. It's actually kind of very damn cool. So yeah, actually I can't wait to see how this whole entire show develops, especially in these episodes we're going to watch today. So wait and see what happens. So it's actually put on, Twitter actually gone live. Right, and then I need this one. And then put that one there. And we actually are good to go. Hello, hello, how's it going? How is it going today? Put myself a bit more closer to the camera because I'm a bit far away. That rhymes, 10 points. As well as how much that actually rhymed. Anyway, let's actually a show started in 3, 2, 1. So start this thing absolutely now. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those shows that I do actually wonder if you could horror like kind of possibly hinting a more biblical kind of idea, because hello. Because it's very there, if you get what I mean. It's not very kind of like, it's one of those ones. It's very viewer interpretation kind of idea. Like, it just kind of seems like the tower itself is leading to somewhere beyond where we kind of know. The way the actual kind of place is structured as well kind of feels like that. And then when they actually start to actually kind of do the duel, it kind of then feels like it's almost going towards some place else, and that actually is beyond where we actually currently are. It's got a very kind of like, it's almost like the Tower of Babylon in a way. And possibly that Utena represents the characters actually come along and destroy the Tower of Babylon, actually how the Tower of Babylon itself was destroyed, which I believe was destroyed because it got too close to heaven itself. Because the way the thing is structured looks like the Tower of Babylon, in a way. And you actually have then the actual upside down castle, which is possibly the place it all leads towards, and actually then this idea of like the sort of Deus as well. Or Dios. It's Deus and Dios. So yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those up in the air kind of interpretations right now at this point in the narrative, but it does kind of feel like it might be hinting at that. Oh. Interesting. I have to say, I was like, we actually started a duel that actually had zero idea what's actually going to happen. Very interesting. Very interesting. Even the actual scenery itself, it almost kind of evokes it being larger than the actual people themselves. Like, way larger, if you get what I mean. Oh, very, very philosophical right there. Very philosophical. There's also a whole lot of use of green as well, which green always represents the other world, or kind of like otherworldly kind of ideas. Oh no, it's hinting at some things. But also it kind of has that also has a very kind of like play feeling as well. It almost seems like you're actually watching a play kind of unfold in front of you as well. The song is very good though. The OST in this anime is actually also very, very good thus far. Even if like this OST that plays during the fight itself is very ominous. Very, very ominous. Bruh! Can this poor girl catch a break at this point in the show? Like, Jesus Christ almighty! But the one thing I do also kind of pick up on is actually how the scenery itself does look like in essence, I mean, it could in theory be attributed to actually kind of like the time period itself because the way the actual animation is done. But if you actually kind of look at it from a different perspective as well, the animation kind of seems as if the actual characters are one plane versus then the background itself, kind of like a play, in a way. It's got a feeling as well, but also can in theory be because of the actual animation itself. But it does feel like that a little bit. Ohayou gozaimasu. Or yeah, technically, it technically is Ohayou gozaimasu. Just realised it's 4 o'clock, so it's morning now. Genki desu ka? Poor Choo-Choo. Oh. Well, I mean, the beginning of the episode kind of begs to differ, but still. A duel does actually break out by the end, but not right now, I guess. Is the one per stream. Oh. Choo-choo's the best. Another thing to note is also how in certain scenes how almost empty the actual school is as well. Got that feeling. It's got quite an empty feeling. I guess it's dependent on the character themselves, but it's actually quite lonely, the actual school itself, in certain scenes. Or it's also kind of got. There's also this idea that there's also kind of an idea that it's like regaining what one has lost as well, and also then keeping hold of said thing as well. And that's this whole thing with Utena as well, keeping hold of what she had when she was younger as well. And now we actually have our new character this week, or this episode, I should really say, regaining what he lost beforehand. Very interesting. I believe it's some users. Very interesting. Uh-oh. A snail. Like, imagine this snail kind of just being a catalyst for actually causing the person to just feel like they haven't done something. Like, bruh. There was like no jig. There was no jig to begin with. Said the word correct in the end. How can one be up when it actually was nothing to begin with? It's just a snail, bro. Snails be harmless, bro. Besides when they're raining from the sky, like in JoJo. Then you have a problem. A second snail? A second one? Bruh. It's actually mine for EB, the arc from JoJo Part 6. Snails are cool, leave them alone. In the end, it caused no harm. There's a snake in there as well. It won't happen like that, will it? It's not gonna happen like that. Snakes are cool as well, it's a problem. How's no one noticed a snake though? Uh-oh. He just ate a snake whole. I wish I could just keep a mongoose as well, to be honest. That'd be great. I want a mongoose. How bottomless is this bag that's full of random things like a snake, a goddamn snail, and an octopus? How bottomless is this actual like backpack? Or bag, I should say, to be honest. It's like Lara Croft's backpack from Tomb Raider. It's so bottomless that anything actually can fit in, like a shotgun and a goddamn pistol for some reason. And she actually managed to kind of hold a snail, a snake, and an octopus, which didn't in the whole entire time they were there attack each other. In of itself, it's actually very impressive. In of itself. She opens a door that actually has a whole ecosystem of octopi. Is octopi is the plural of octopus? I miss those laughs. I miss those old laughs. They were the best. We need to bring them back. We need them back, bro. Gotta be real though. She's keeping a goddamn mongoose, snails, and an octopus. Entirely in that dorm. That's impressive. she's destroyed now. She's just not there anymore. She's somewhere else. She tried vibe checking, vibe checking her completely, and nothing happened. Man, oh man. Oh yeah, the octopus is still alive, isn't he? Man. It's not very nice. You just can't just go and do that. At least the octopus is actually vibing now. At least the octopus actually is vibing. I guess this is what ignites the actual duel itself then. The catalyst, as they would say. Igniting what was once lost, but also then igniting a duel for the actual bride as well. Very interesting. To be continued. Very interesting episode overall, actually. So it's actually, I guess it does in theory kind of there is this idea of actually kind of holding on to what was once lost, or actually then regaining what was once lost as well, and actually not losing it at the exact same time. To a different degree, every single character actually has that kind of idea going on to an extent. Besides dumpster seaweed boy, he's a dumpster boy, so we don't talk about him. But yeah, it's interesting because Utena actually holds on to what the actual what was said in the past. What's said in the past actually then become the actual best prince there actually can in very be. And you actually have Mickey, who actually kind of has now regained what he lost, actually kind of found the thing he wanted all along, essentially, actually the person he wanted all along as well. And it actually is kind of interesting. I like that whole entire idea, because it kind of then, it paints then a different picture actually how the duel actually plays out, because beforehand the duel's always been this idea of actually righting what was wrong, essentially, like the idea of who is justified in the whole entire idea. Always in the end, Utena actually was the most justified person there, because the other person was literally a dumpster boy, so it doesn't help matters, but you know what I mean. But actually then have this duel play out, actually kind of be possibly maybe a different kind of feeling, it's quite interesting. Because it also then does kind of actually paint like a really like ominous feeling about how these duels play out in a way as well, because you're almost you're almost in a way trying to win, essentially, rather than the emotions themselves will feel justified, but the way it's actually handled itself, it kind of feels very like, not in a sense like it kind of contrasts the feeling itself, but it kind of paints a different kind of feeling of it. Here's sneeze. Do I need to sneeze? No, I'm good. I had a sneeze. Right, let's actually put on to actually watch episode 5. Right, yes, we're good to go. So, let's reset this. Let's actually put this into full screen. Actually, it's shown on road. So, in 3, 2, 1, let's begin episode 5. Absolutely now. Yeah, so it has a very different feeling, but then it kind of paints the whole entire like duel itself actually kind of be in of itself. In most cases justified itself, but then it kind of changes your perception if you kind of view it in a sense like how it's almost like how one character actually has found what he wanted this whole entire time, and now he's trying to obtain it from the person who we otherwise associate to be the justified character in the whole entire narrative. So it then kind of paints this whole entire idea. Maybe the duels themselves. Can't say the word. The duel itself isn't so much as if it's almost like a means to an end in a way, like them having that battle as a means to an end rather than anything else. It proves in certain cases that yes, the actual overarching character is a justified character in most cases, like what happened with Dumpster Boy, but in this case it's very different. It doesn't actually kind of have that exact same feeling, so I do actually kind of wonder how it will play out in that kind of context. Especially early on in the narrative as well, because other shows would probably like include this way later into the show. Must be contrasting the idea of actually what these actual what the duels themselves actually tend to kind of mean. But we had one battle already that actually was like, by the way, it's actually extremely like, this dude's an arsehole, get rid of him. So to actually now have this that might actually kind of contrast what is otherwise associated with the actual battles themselves. Very interesting, I must say. I quite like that. Also very interesting, it kind of takes place, once again, under the eyes of what I'd associate probably with being God himself. So, again, it's very interesting. Hurt my neck. Yeah, so it kind of, I don't know, it's different now, the actual feeling you get from this whole entire fight. Maybe they actually might add some nuances that kind of then once again change perception on how the actual fight plays out, but currently it's actually quite an interesting fight. I also kind of wonder if or not they actually might in theory frame this episode more with Mickey than they would with Utena. possibly then once again highlighting that whole entire idea, kind of averting how you actually then see the duel itself, because of the fact is that it's kind of not meant to be like a normal duel it actually kind of is. But it's a wait and see kind of scenario, I guess, when you think about it. Goddamn. Goddamn. I do really appreciate the use of colour in the show as well. The use of colour in the show is actually very well done. It's got a it has a very melancholic feel to it in certain shots. Oh. It's interesting as well because Utena actually kind of rejects the whole entire like the prospect of the bride persona for her as well. Actually, is kind of very interesting in its own way. As I said beforehand in the last stream, she kind of does in theory break a lot of like the societal things this actual show kind of poses. It's Preso Fireboy. It's Preso Fireboy. it's very metaphorical there. Very metaphorical, I must admit. It has got that feeling towards it, I guess, in a way. It is interesting though, actually, the actual again, this whole entire episode and episode previous actually hasn't very kind of constantly deconstructed the duel itself. So it's actually become the thing you actually know it to be, essentially. His shirt's unbuttoned. Prezzo Fireboy, what you doing? Prezzo Fireboy, what are you doing? It's interesting what the actual. It is interesting what the actual. It is quite interesting what the actual the prospect of like the bride actually does in theory kind of place upon her as well. It's got very it's a very interesting way to explain everything. There's a man just unbuttoning his shirt for everything. Like, it's like buttons? Buttons? Who needs those? But yeah, this goddamn cool. I guess a duel now doesn't really kind of doesn't have the exact same connotations beforehand, even more so now. So I thought, as I said during the opening of the episode, possibly nuances might in theory kind of change how you see then the duel itself, because beforehand it would have been kind of like possibly the actual duel itself was actually justified in the way that maybe one was kind of fighting for the idea of love, while the other one actually was fighting for the idea of justice. In this context, I can't unsee that now. Oh man, the only thing that's gonna go from my head now is that I see him is gonna be him saying Yugi boy, but he might be saying Yugi boy, and that's the problem. Oh, metaphorical, metaphorical, metaphorical. I appreciate that. These lyrics they get less ominous the more you hear them. It's just kind of like, I aspire to have a staircase like that one day, though. Just a staircase that actually doesn't end. It's no, this actual like there's actual fights that work around the end. My brain just stops because of heat. The actual fight itself doesn't really kind of have the exact same feeling as beforehand. Like on the one part originally it was actually kind of like, oh well, maybe he's kind of falling in love with her. It actually kind of makes some semblance of sense to actually kind of fight for to keep what he once lost now regained. But now it's kind of like, is the idea of power itself kind of corrupting itself? Possibly, maybe. Because the society itself, it kind of is interesting how the fight has to happen in order for the idea of like the bride itself to actually become your bride. It kind of takes away the entirety of the connotations behind that whole entire idea in a way. It just doesn't feel like it doesn't kind of feel like how any of this should actually play out. Whether or not love is actually kind of present at all in the whole entire thing. It's interesting though, because it is kind of one of those things you can tell. Like, on the one hand, Yuta doesn't actually want to be a part of this whole entire idea. She wants no part of the whole entire bride idea, and you actually have actually have Anthony who's kind of like, yeah, I want to be free as well. It's that whole entire idea that the jewels themselves don't carry exactly what it means to kind of like be the bride. So it kind of then destroys the connotations of where they are if it actually doesn't really mean the concept of like possibility of like the world above, essentially. So yeah, I mean, once again, it's the whole entire idea how Utena is the character actually kind of break the societal norms, essentially, that exist within this world, especially from the actual fight as well. The fights don't carry the exact same kind of connotations beforehand. Now it's just kind of like it's a means to an end. Like it has to happen for X to happen, essentially. I have no idea if the word duels actually comes out correctly in my accent. That's a problem. It's one of those words I don't know whether or not my British accent says the word correctly. I say duels, but it doesn't actually. It sounds like I'm saying the actual like rings and bracelets instead of actually the idea of fighting. It's one of those words that it's one of those words. Duels. It sounds like it's saying the idea of like the rings and bracelets rather than actually just fighting. Every time I say it now, don't actually get it. I realise that now. I can't actually unhear it. I'm saying a completely different word. The fights, the battles, so to speak. Probably will do it for 3 episodes next stream. I think we should probably cover just this arc, this stream, because this arc is in of itself very interesting. Yeah, sorry if my accent kind of made it seem as if I was saying something completely different. It is the curse of being British. Some words sound completely different to what they actually sound like, or actually meant to be sounded like. But yeah, I mean, it's yeah, the Rose Bride themselves kind of just seemed as if it's like it's almost placed upon the person, like in essence, and then to a degree, it's the person you're placed with that might in theory kind of change how you see then the Rose Bride, but how Anthony actually was kind of like placed originally within the whole Rose Bride scenario kind of destroys that connotation completely. Then even more so now, because on the one hand, where she was beforehand was abusive and actually not what you associate with being a part of a bride. Now it's kind of like, it's almost like how Utena actually wants no part in the whole entire idea. She doesn't want the whole entire bride persona placed upon Anthony in a way. And I kind of find to be like it kind of finds to be very interesting in its own way, because it's one of those things that it kind of changes the perception of actually how then you see like the actual fight, the fight itself. I say the fight this time. Otherwise, it kind of just sounds like I'm saying a completely different word than what I'm actually trying to say. Hello. You know what? I should watch that episode, I guess. We actually got enough time, I think. What time is it? Yeah, watch that episode actually. Let's watch episode 6. I thought it was later, but we actually can watch episode 6. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily feel like you're watching a standardized battle. It's more so you're watching a it's almost as if you're watching a means to an end. Like in essence, how it has to happen for X to actually kind of transpire, rather than say, okay, so they're actually fighting for a cause. Originally, it actually really it could have been, but now it doesn't really feel like that at all. It doesn't really feel like there's ever a sense that it doesn't ever feel like there's a sense of justice within it. It just feels like it feels like, oh yeah, it's happening, but because it has to happen because they want X to happen essentially. And that in and of itself is kind of fascinating because it kind of then it makes you then wonder, because even Utena kind of doesn't want to duel either. There's this whole entire idea that it has to happen because it's how it's meant. It's because it has to go that way essentially. Like in essence, to actually have what they want, they actually have to fight. And it kind of then destroys what they want in the first place because it doesn't actually carry the exact same emotions beforehand. It just kind of exists just to kind of create the means essentially. Anyways, it's episode 6 in 3, 2, 1. Let's start the thing absolutely now. But yeah, it's interesting because it doesn't. Now you guys don't really see you don't really see the battles or the duels as kind of like a as anything else besides, by the way, it has to kind of transpire for this thing to actually transpire itself. And then you wonder yourself, who is the kind of maybe as time goes on, like it kind of brings back the original connotations of the fight themselves. Actually, then it becomes a less a means to an end, but more in a sense of like it's kind of exists to actually kind of right the wrongs essentially. But in this context at the moment, it kind of was that to begin with, but not so much anymore. So it kind of makes you wonder, okay, so then what does it all lead towards? Where does it all go towards? Who is the victor in the end, essentially? But in of itself, very kind of interesting. Hopefully what I just said makes any sense. I don't even know if it does or doesn't, but hopefully it does. His OP does bop though. Once again, it does actually kind of highlight how empty the actual world is in a way. In this context, it's meant to isolate the actual character, actually kind of then make what's possibly chasing her even more terrifying. But even more so, it kind of does highlight once again. It just kind of feels like an empty world. Preso Fireboy, we do not forget what happened last episode. Even though we don't necessarily actually know what truly transpired in there, but bro. Who are you really, bro? Bro does have cool hair though. He do be having that cool hair though. That's almost perfectly timed. That's almost perfectly timed. It's knocked to the F out, literally. Jesus. Being on me truly is suffering. And also unbutton his shirt, he doesn't actually need to either. That's a massive thing as well. Let's not forget that part. Man's shirt is always unbuttoned for some reason. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My God, Jesus Christ! Today is actually so many police cars going past. I'm not too sure if or not a keep out sign would actually probably keep people out and actually then have a normal conversation by the way of killing things, but who knows? Alas, conversations tend to be quite ominous in this show, and also song lyrics as well. Uh-oh. How one did not put two and two together is beyond me, but yeah, I guess. Logical conclusion is always to reach is, by the way, he might be trying to kill me. She can't catch a break today, Jesus Christ almighty. It's a runaway horse in the goddamn school now. Also chickens as well. Also chickens. Let's not forget them as well. They're also there, just vibing. So in a space of like 8 minutes, she's been chased down, hit in the face with a bull, almost misunderstood her brother actually tried to be murdering her, almost got KO'd by a goddamn horse. Like goddamn. Oh, Jesus. It's Mystery Man. It's Mystery Man himself. If some dude tried to help me and then I say what's his name and he'd be like, that's not important, but like, bruh. Bruh. Enough of the theatrics, okay, dude. Ikuhara's world is more dangerous than Araki's world, and Araki's world is very dangerous. There should be a ranking system of like every single like Ota's actual like world and actually how dangerous they actually are. Ikuhara's world will probably be up there like the top 2. Probably the Araki as well. Who knows? I do love Ikuhara's world though. It's very interesting. Do you actually like the world of Sarazanmai? It's got a pleasant kind of feeling towards it, even though it does kind of also feel very kind of unsafe as well sometimes. I guess it's kind of the overarching theme of all his shows, technically speaking. The overarching like idea that even though it does seem pleasant on the surface, there's undercurrents of like of evil. Yeah, what the hell's going on there? Even though 2 minutes ago she was fearing that he was trying to murder her. I'm more alarmed how she actually is so calm about almost dying 3 times in the space of like 8 minutes. Bruh. 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 Oh no. He became the easel! He's Easel Boy! He's literally Easel Boy. He's literally Easel Boy now. And then we have Dumpster goddamn Seaweed Boy as well to just kind of heighten it. Oh god, piss off! Destroyed! Destroyed! Absolute. Oh, fuck. Oh, that was too good. This dude trying to give like the pep talk of the century, and then Utah's just like, no one asked you. Just the long pause of silence. Ah, that was so good. This is uh just destroyed all three of them. Threw one to the water as well. Gosh damn. I thought you should just turn up like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck's happening here? It's just turn around, just turn around and just say, by the way, you did use him as an easel for fuck's sake. Just let's not forget that part. A goddamn easel, for God's sake. Why did you become an easel, bro? Why would you be an easel? It's a runaway bull as well, for fuck's sake. This school seems very dangerous. I'm sorry, but the actual border got KO'd. He's out of there. It's a very roundabout plot, to be honest. Rehearsed? It's a very roundabout plot. Out of fucking nowhere, just a sound system. This episode's wild. What's the moral of the story? Don't be a dick, I guess. And now it's a kangaroo. How dangerous is this goddamn school? No less a boxing kangaroo. Is that like the is that the kangaroo that knocks some sense into this lad? he's just sparring with the goddamn air. he's just sparring with the air. I can't wait for the battle between Utena and the actual kangaroo though. Just have like the music behind it and everything, just her fighting a goddamn kangaroo. Oh yes, a flower pot. The kangaroo just turns around like, what the fuck, man? That was uncalled for. Just a tonal shift. Such a goddamn tonal shift of an anime. Oh yeah, and now he's got no shirt on as well. This show's magical. Do we just get a goddamn Ashita no Joe reference at the end of this whole entire episode as well? Do we get an Ashita no Joe reference as well? He's nippleless! Our boy's nippleless! That's gonna be his name from now on. Just nippleless. Dumps a seaweed boy, nippleless. Let's all not forget, it's all got birth from the fact that she believed that she was like almost getting killed by her own brother. God damn. I suppose Utena hasn't just questioned the fact of like what the fuck is happening. Oh god, this show's magical. I mean, if you told me like episode 5 came before episode 6, I'll call you a liar. I get it. He's just trying to break the ice, quite literally. Like if you're breaking the ice with that whole entire scenario, you like drove head first with a goddamn boat into it. I don't even. Oh god, this show. It's something else. It's something else. This show. God, I love it. It's like the most roundabout plot in the universe. It went from Nanami, what the fuck are you doing? To oh okay. To what? To okay. At the end of it all, I'm just like, bruh, all right. God, I guess it's a good way to actually end the whole entire thing off. Yeah. God, this is like the perfect way to end the whole entire thing off, just like experiencing what is otherwise like. God, I think Ice on the Cake was Dumps the Seaweed Boy as well. Absolute beautiful moment of him just getting destroyed by Utena again, by words no less. I gotta love how he came in with no shirt on and actually just sparred with a goddamn kangaroo. God, I love this show. Konbanwa, Genki desu ka? Ah, interesting. I'm actually quite interested to see how everyone's reaction was to that episode. Like, just as they were watching it. Just constantly looking over and being like, am I watching the exact same show I was watching last week? But yeah, I mean, so we went from trying to conquer one's love to to goddamn fighting a goddamn kangaroo, all in the name of just being the person's big brother. And Nanami was kind of being an asshole about it as well, because she was like, "Yeah, he's an easel now." I'm like, "Bruh, what?" It's just like and then Yuta's just like, "What the fuck, man? Just why, bro? Why are you doing this?" And a bull, no less. We had what? So we had flower pots falling, goddamn bug infestation for a little while, a goddamn horse just randomly just going on by, and then a goddamn bull as well, and then a kangaroo. It's like there's a lot. That's a lot in episodes. That's a lot. It's a goddamn lot. And what the story is, don't be a dick. Also, don't try to put the person you're trying to become the big brother of in danger that might otherwise kind of kill them. But also then don't date them at the exact same time. That's actually kind of fucking weird. Also, let's not forget that part. But yeah, I mean, disregard episode 6 for a little while. Yeah. Utena's like, honestly, I've watched Sarazanmai. Sarazanmai has some crazy shit happening, and I was like, yeah, this is very Ikuhara. Ikuhara has those moments, just kind of like, you kind of question like, bruh, half the time. His shows are very like, there's that one episode of the series is kind of like, kind of a little while. You kind of like that for a little while, and you actually kind of like, you get back into it like, oh yeah, okay, all right, I get you. I get Ikuhara. I see you. I guess episode 6 actually is kind of like that episode. That episode, because Sarazanmai, I believe it was, I can't remember what episode Sarazanmai. Oh yeah, it was the dude with the butt dude in Sarazanmai. I remember now. I was kind of like, what the fuck is happening here? And then it's just like, and then it goes back into the whole entire plot. You're like, oh okay. Ikuhara's is crazy, bro. He's a crazy bro. God, I gotta watch Penguin Drum at some point. Whether or not Penguin Drum actually probably is the most like stable of Ikuhara's animes, that's yet to be seen. But God, that episode was wild. The episode was fucking wild. Oh, it just ends on dude just fighting a kangaroo in a goddamn boxing ring as well, no less. It is indeed. Ikuhara's world is great. I love it. It's dangerous. It's probably one of the most dangerous worlds in the whole entirety of anime. Like, dude made the most dangerous school in the history of the world. But it works. It works. I gotta admit, it works. But yeah, I mean, the previous episode actually was really good though. I like the previous episode. It kind of does, once again, to a degree, just deconstruct what is otherwise the duel itself. Whether or not it actually does in theory mean what do you think it means. And I do kind of like the whole entire idea, because it's one of those things that does actually always question constantly whether or not what they're fighting for is just and right. Beforehand it probably was, in essence, the idea of actually saving Anthe from where she was, to actually then kind of go into this whole entire idea of the possibility of actually Anthe not being necessarily kind of free. Kind of then changing the perception of the bride to actually be this like idea that is kind of constraining the character rather than actually kind of helping the character. I'm so glad you're actually enjoying it. I do love this series. It's so good. It's wild. I love Ikuhara's wild rides. It's true. It's true. I mean, by the end of like the Ikuhara season, if we actually get to Penguin Drum at some point, I'll be on the Ikuhara hype. I'll be seeing the same things he's seeing. I'll be on the same stuff. God, it's just I imagine him Masaki Yuasa and just Masaki Yuasa and who else is absolutely goddamn insane. Yeah, it's Yuasa and just, I imagine Yuasa and Ikuhara just kind of just sitting in the corner, just being like the dudes and just kind of just creating the most craziest shit in the world. Because both do make crazy shit. Like, god damn it, like Yuasa makes some crazy shit as well. Imagine just like there's just those dudes in the corner just being like, yeah. But yeah, show's very good. Just very kind of, it's very roundabout in certain cases, especially this episode, no less, but the previous episode actually was probably like one of the standouts, I actually would say, because of the idea that it kind of does deconstruct a lot of what it does in theory to mean to do the duels, and so actually then what it does in theory mean to be a bride. And actually possibly the idea that it is literally breaking the constraints of society itself, which has otherwise been imposed by everyone else. But then it kind of then might in theory kind of contrast what is otherwise then the end goal, like the end of the world kind of scenario as well, because once again we have the whole entire idea of like the end goal of the entire thing, but if we actually then understand the way to get there, actually then the way to get there itself isn't like the most fruitful thing in the universe, it kind of then doesn't actually work very well. It kind of makes it seem as if it's actually like the end goal is once again a means to an end. It doesn't actually ever feel like it's not bring a revolution. It possibly might, because Utena actually might in free then kind of say, well, it's kind of shit, bro, this ain't good, and actually then completely like just change the entire thing. Or it might just kind of lead to her just saying, well, is there any point to what we're doing here? We have to like get it out of our system, because it actually was pretty, that was like an experience. That was a goddamn experience of an anime. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that this show does constantly always deconstruct actually what it means to kind of be a part of this world in a way, because Utena herself is kind of like that. She's always constantly going against what is otherwise imposed to her in that way. So then maybe that doesn't fully then stretch to the end goal as well, because then it kind of then destroys the actual area they exist within when they fight as well, because once again it's actually meant to be the justified area, the one that brings about justice, when in this case not so much. It's more or less kind of like, is that really like the justified? Is it justified or not? That's the real question to wait and see. So yeah, that's me done for today. I gotta lie down in the corner and just be like, what, just kind of old existentialism indeed. The 90s were full of it. Like this in Serial Experiments Lane is like existentialism to the T, constantly. I gotta lie down a large corner and just think about what I just watched. Just kind of process it. Oh man. But anyway, ご視聴ありがとうございます。僕の動画を面白いと思ったら、いいねやチャンネル登録をお願いします。So if you have enjoyed this whole entire show as a whole on YouTube and doing free, leave a like, because indeed it's been quite a bit. If you have then enjoyed this whole entire show as a whole on YouTube and doing free, leave a sub, because indeed it's been quite a bit. If you have then enjoyed this whole entire show as a whole on YouTube and doing free, leave a follow on Twitter, or join the Discord as well, because both do help me quite a lot, both entertaining which streams go live and any other streams I do as well. But until next time, some more Revolutionary Girl Utena, or the anime where they fight kangaroos and shirtless. See you guys then. Bye.